Welcome back. Now, for decades, sugarcane wasn't just a crop in Kenya. It was a lifeline. It built towns, sustained entire families, and fueled the economy of the western part of the country. But along the way, things fell apart. Factories collapsed, farmers abandoned their cane fields, and billions vanished from sugar factories. Tonight, we unpack what went wrong and explore the road to recovery. Could debt relief and a private sector investment bring the industry back to life? And could this be the sweet turnaround that sugarcane farmers have been waiting for? Let's unpack it. Once upon a time, Kenya's sugar industry was sweet.
You're my sweetie.
My sugar, my baby.
It fed over 250,000 farmers, powered local economies, and kept millions of Kenyans employed. But today, it's a bittersweet story of corruption, mismanagement, and market sabotage.
The collapse of Mumias Sugar Company has contributed heavily to the economic challenges and social malpractices witnessed in Kakamega County and the entire western region.
The silent suffering of the former employees tells the unsavory story of the giant sugar miller.
Mambo ya miwa tunataka tukae chini. Manake sio hapa magharibi peke yake, hata Nyanza, hata Pwani, kila mahali kuna shida.
Wakulima wanapeleka miwa Nzoia, hawalipwi
zaidi ya bilioni 1.
For the last 6 years, to be frank with you, I think we have not been making profit.
Nafanya kazi karibu miaka 3 ama miaka 4 bila payment yoyote. Mwishowe wakafunga kiwanda.
So who killed Kenya's sugar industry, and is there hope for a comeback? In the 1970s and 80s, Kenya had a thriving sugar belt. From Mumias in Kakamega to Nzoia in Bungoma to Soni in Migori, public sugar mills were booming. Farmers delivered cane, employees got paid, and consumers bought local sugar.
Most of them were government factories. The government understood that they cannot run factories. So what we do? We leased out management of those factories. So Mumias Sugar was run, for example, by Bukatet. I know Nzoia Sugar had a similar arrangement.
But the sweetness didn't last. Mumias Sugar, the crown jewel, crumbled under mega scandals. In 2015, it uncovered 14.5 billion shillings lost in fake supplier payments, inflated costs, and shady contracts. Top managers were implicated, but few were held accountable.
The policy shift to remove expats, because Buka was, I think, from Australia. They had a lot of years of experience of running sugar factories. Then we decided, no, we will employ our own CEO, who may not have had even enough experience running a sugar factory, managing farmers, managing employees. I think that really accelerated the downward spiral.
Sugar factories became political playgrounds.
A lot of our sugar factories just became employment bureaus. So you go to a sugar factory and one voucher has to be signed by 10 people before you are paid. A green pen, a red pen, a pencil.
And while farmers waited months to be paid, cheap imported sugar flooded the market. In 2023 alone, Kenya imported over 400,000 metric tons of sugar, up from 250,000 in 2020. Some imports were legal, others smuggled, and often substandard. A 2018 report revealed that some sugar contained traces of mercury and copper, but it still hit Kenyan shelves.
The situation of importation is such that it's not something that I can promise you that we can go to 0% importation. We are producing about 800,000 metric tons. We need about 1.2 million. So there's always a gap. And the gap is about 400,000 metric tons. The other aspect is that, remember, Kenya is part of the common market, the East African COMESA. What that means is that even if there is no deficit and I'm producing sugar in Uganda, I have a right to sell it in Kenya. And Kenya can also sell its products across.
Back in the sugar belt, hope was drying up. Thousands of families across Western Kenya lost their livelihoods. After years of rot, there have been efforts to revive the sector.
When Mumias Sugar was established in 1976, the average land holding in Kakamega then was about 30 acres per family. Today you are in a quarter acre. So if you look at it from the fact that a lot of the sugarcane is being produced by small-scale farmers, it means that the production costs really go high.
In January 2025, President William Ruto wiped off 117 billion shillings in debts owed by state-owned mills, the biggest debt relief in the sector's history.
Madeni ya hizi kampuni zetu bilioni 117 ikiwemo bilioni 50 ya hapa Nzoia tutafutilia mbali kama serikali ya Kenya.
Part of what this government has been doing is to lease. I see a lot of confusion. What we have said, and we're just going back to where we were. In fact, we are behaving like leasing is a new idea. This is exactly what Buka was doing. We built a factory and we gave somebody else to run it. So we're just going back. So when you say leasing, what are you doing? You are giving somebody else to manage. The asset remains the property of government. But we are giving somebody who has more expertise, more skills, sometimes more resources to do the job. But you see, before you lease this factory out, if it is owing people 117 billion, who wants to lease such a property?
Parliament passed the Sugar Act, a sweeping reform to regulate imports, revive local mills, and modernize the industry.
The challenge that we had that the Sugar Act is addressing is the issue of cane poaching. So we had factories, you put up a factory and you don't invest in any cane development. And then you poach cane that has been developed by your neighboring factory. So the new Sugar Act is very clear that use remain within the area that has been allocated to you. And you work with the farmers and you develop your cane. So if you don't have cane, get out of it.
Private companies are stepping in to help revive the industry. In 2025, West Kenya Sugar announced plans to revitalize Mumias Sugar's distillery and co-generation plants with government support.
In Bungoma, for example, the Zoya Sugar, whose capacity is 5 tons, they produce 5 tons of sugar per hour. Next to it is Naitiri Sugar that produces double, 10 tons per hour. But now let's compare. Zoya Sugar, which is doing half the capacity, has 6,000 employees. Naitiri Sugar, which is doing 10 tons per hour, has 400 employees. So why? Because this is a government place. There is a lot of political interference. Everybody wants to put their children into employment. So how do you expect Zoya Sugar, even if you prayed as hard as you wanted, to be competitive?
In 2024, Kenya hit a milestone. 832,000 metric tons of sugar produced, a 10% increase from 2023, signaling a potential turnaround.
Before most of these factories died, farmers were waiting for 2 years. Now we can see a good improvement where a lot of the factories, in fact today if you have a sugar factory that's not paying every week, you will not get sugarcane.
This is more than just an economic story. The sugar industry stands as a warning of what happens when greed and corruption are allowed to shape a nation's destiny. This isn't just an industry on the brink, it's a turning point. Will Kenya rise from the ruins, or will history repeat itself?